Yo, what up, guys? It's Game Challenged, and I'm bringing you the montage review for the first week of May. And I got some montages here that are from this week, and some that Ichi recommended me to just go through because they would be worth reviewing. Now, I don't like that Havy went to 10-point scale, and I don't think he did either. And I understand that people want to see 10 points, but the thing about a 10-point scale is that it sounds so much harsher. And the thing that happens is that you'll end up making this thing where there's there's bad videos and there's good videos, and because you don't want to sound harsh, you up the bad videos to being like, I don't know, somewhere like above 5. Like being below 5 feels like crap. And then you basically make it so that the amount of time that you have to put into a video to go from getting like a 5 to getting a 7 is basically like 3 or 4 hours, whereas it's a 7 to an 8 is literally putting in like 30, 40 more hours of work, and and they're clearly not on the same level. So I feel like you need to be able to get away with that harshness, and it's kind of necessary to be on a smaller scale. So there was a lot of montages apparently for me to review, and I hope that now that you've heard my explanation, that you'll understand why I want to keep it to something where I can get away with being harsh, so I don't end up screwing over people who have these really awesome videos that they put a ton of effort into, not getting the real like comparative respect that comparative credit they deserve, because I don't want to be harsh to other people. You know, I feel like it's more of an ill to be harsh to someone who's like not give someone the credit they deserve than it is to be harsh to someone. So, yeah, that's why I'm going back to that. And here we go. So, Avelster, Halo Reach Anniversary Nostalgia. I really liked the audio work in this. It was very interesting, but it was too loud with relation to the song, and it didn't really work for me as well as it could have. But it was very interesting, and it was extremely appropriate considering it's Halo CE, quote unquote, remade. So it made sense. It's enjoyable. The editing had a lot of was pretty solid. It was on beat, but I don't feel like it kept pace with the song. So that's always tricky, trying to keep pace with a song, making sure you have the beat and still not ripping footage to shreds. That's a common difficulty with more electronic and faster rock music, to just not rip the gameplay to shreds and still keep a flow. The beats were pretty hard in this, but I felt like they faded off more, so with some of the angles it got to these really rough cuts between things. And that was kind of... I felt like it could have benefited a lot from just like 3 or 4 frame fades. But it was a really good video. It was interesting. I mean, it was interesting. It was something new, and we need more of that. Like, it did something new, took an interesting risk. Didn't pan out perfectly, but it made something pretty interesting, and that's worth noting. And for this one, I gotta say, by sheer editing, for the editing, I think that's about a 3 out of 5. Creativity, that's like a 3.5 to 4, because it didn't exactly end up working. And it's not like the most creative thing I've seen. Like, I've seen tons of audio swaps and playing with that. Gameplay was pretty average, but it wasn't anything where you would laugh at. I don't feel. So it was a pretty good montage. My overall score, I think, I'm sitting with a 3.25 out of 5. Okay, on to Laser Dumal H4 Reach Mixtage, edited by Touchfire. Now, this montage had some pretty good syncing and decent flow, but there were some things that kind of bugged me. and the main thing that really bugged me was that the way the clips were structured, it made it so that it's like you had your sync set up, and then you put them on, you put your clips on a timeline, and you just ran through syncing clip by clip by clip as appropriate. And you didn't. And what happened was there were sections where it was the song, and it's like, and I personally think that when you have a song with lots of lyrics like that, you need to pay attention to when like a certain section of the lyrics end. Like when a verse begins and chorus begins, you need to divide a clip there because it's a different feel. And this had decent syncing, but it didn't lead up to those high points where then you're leading up through the verse, hit the last word, use that, bam. And then you go on to the next clip, use the next one, bam. It lessens the impact a lot. Like the syncing was pretty good, but it could have had much bigger impact if it used that. Now, a couple angles threw me off here and there, but wasn't too bad. Theater work was pretty average. Nothing I would really say is terrible or great. It's pretty good. Pretty decent. I feel like in parts there could have been more done in the song with like how much you were actually doing with the pan crops and here and there, and sometimes it seemed kind of inappropriate for where you were using it. Like you were starting out, there was one clip on Haven where it was like a giant pan crop rotate right before you hit a shot, before a shot was hit, right? And it just really threw me off because I didn't feel like there was that big of a sync point there to warrant something like that. But overall, this is pretty good. Didn't bring a lot new to the table. I liked how the text was tracked in the same sort of along the same plane as the person was facing in the start. I really liked that. Didn't care for the font, but whatever. It was pretty good. I just feel like that structure really threw it off a lot, and it didn't bring a lot to the table that I haven't seen before. And the gameplay was pretty average. Some cool stuff here and there. I like that accidental no-scope triple on Zealot. That was pretty cool. So I think for an overall score for this, I'm going to be going with a 3.25 out of 5. Okay, Reflex H4 Montage 1 edited by G. I thought this video was really solid, actually. This is the type of video I can sit down, watch, and just nod and say, yeah, that was pretty cool, without like totally shitting myself. This video had a lot going for it. I liked the intro was pretty solid. Like it was overall just really solid. Felt like the CC was a little bit off, but it still looked really nice. Like maybe turning down the glow, lightening the midtones, and turning down the hue a little bit, because the glow got overbearing in some parts, and I feel like that'd be the way to do it. The syncing was really nice. It was on point throughout the whole video. Pretty enjoyable video, but it's just a solid video, you know, and that's always something to strive for, but it still doesn't have that step up to be like, that was absolutely amazing. This was really solid, and I enjoyed watching it, but because the song was so samey throughout, it seemed like it was hard to really set up some stuff to differentiate it from everything else. And it used the song. It used the song really well, but I feel like the song actually was really restrictive because this was really good and took a couple risks here and there, and it turned out really nice. But I just feel like there's so much more potential with what somebody can do with both the gameplay, which had some pretty cool stuff, and the quality of editing that G's putting out. So, like, even though I really enjoyed this and thought it was solid, I don't feel like I can properly give it anything above a 4 just because of how restricted it is. I feel like montages need to take risks and take big risks, and you need a song that has opportunities to do that. You need to take big risks and pull them off, and I don't feel like that happened here, and that's fine, and it's still a great video, but it didn't have the X factor to really bump it up to next level awesome. So it's on the verge of bouncing up there, so I gotta give this a 4 out of 5. This is a really solid watch, but it did not have the necessary elements to push it up to the really next level montages. And yeah, really good video, definitely worth a watch. Okay, on to Mingy, Final Halo Reach montage by Rombox. This video I feel is another video that's really, this is pretty good. This is pretty solid. Well, the syncing was pretty good. It was pretty solid. There's not a lot I can say apart from that it was a solid video. There's some really sick clips like that. That starting clip was insane. The triple X term Killtrocity. But contrasting from that, you ended the montage on a triple kill quickscope. There's something there that you need to think about your clip structure, man. You gotta give them something to remember it by. The most influential thing on human memory is what you see last, what happens last, you know? And you gotta use that to your advantage. I feel like a lot of the editing in this was technically sound, but there were some things like with the camera work and theater work and I feel like that was more like the editor settling for, yeah, this is pretty okay, and just going with it, and that's what happened throughout, instead of being like, you know what, let's put in a couple extra hours, make it really sick. I feel like it was a lot of settling that happened instead of really reaching for that next level angle. Like, I really liked when it started to get fast during, I think it was the last song. They blended together really nicely, which was a great piece of audio editing. But that wasn't very good. It wasn't very good because of the settling. Parts of it were good. Gameplay, ups and downs, overall pretty solid, pretty good, worth watching. Yeah, I'm personally not a big fan of the super epic music because most of the time it's paced really slowly. But the thing about an epic song is that you're trying to say, hey, look at all of this awesome that's occurring. But then if you have to sync it slowly, you aren't really showing very much. So the amount of awesome you're expecting to get from the song isn't the same that you're getting from the shots. Because that's nearly impossible to really get. You know, it's just not, you're not going to get that. So I feel like there's a bit of a problem with the amount of awesome that song makes you expect and how fast it allows you to sync it. Because you can't sync that stuff too fast. And yeah, I feel like a lot of parts in here could have used just, the editor. You gotta not settle, man. There's a lot of great. It made a lot of sense what you were doing, but you were settling at parts and just going with okay, like let's make this pretty. Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty okay. Instead of really being like, that's okay, but I can go back and do better and make this really, really sick. And that just happened throughout. So I enjoyed this montage. I felt like it's very I felt like it's settled, and that's okay. 3.5 out of 5. Pretty solid video. Worth a watch. if even if it did have those things going on. Yeah. Okay, so we got most dope in DeLongo with the Halo 4 Team Throwdown Dual-Tage. And that last clip was freaking hilarious. It was wonderful. That was a wonderful, wonderful clip. This montage had its ups and downs, man. The gameplay was pretty good throughout. This montage had its ups and downs. It had some really nice build-up sections, but just didn't keep the momentum. Like, it went from that really sick no-scope triple right into like a really super slow animated assassination. I'm just like, oh no. I got really sad because I thought I was about to kick off like really strong. Yeah, it was and like the entire vid was like that for me. It was like, yeah, this is really good. Carry this momentum, and it just didn't end up happening. That was, yeah. Gameplay was good. I just felt like the syncing was weird. I don't know what it was. I just felt at like some points I felt like I was watching the same clip, but it was a different one. Like it felt really weird. I don't know, man. That was weird. It was pretty good. The gameplay was really solid. The edit could have used some work. I don't know. It felt so samey throughout, and didn't really take its opportunities to get some momentum and just punch it through. So yeah, this one was pretty easy to go with. A 3.75 upping it, and the gameplay really upping it from something lower. That was really and that was that. It was almost great. It was almost a great watch. Look forward to whatever Dope does next, because we might actually see him completely wrap that up. That might be nice. Tojon Chaos HRM1. All Team Snipes by Mr. Blonde. Okay, first reaction that I saw people were having was the song. I like Infected Mushroom. If you ever seen a COD 4 vid, I don't know, Mazadox. You should know Infected Mushroom. And shut up. Yeah. Yeah, this montage was... The text threw me off so hard. That was weird. No, I didn't feel like that matched the song at all. Like, the song's kind of goofy, but it's not like super cartoony, multicolor goofy. That was kind of weird. Like, I would expect that kind of text with like a super poppy song that's just completely silly. Like some Matt and Kim shit or something like that. I would not expect that. Overall, the editing was pretty okay. It fell a little short in parts. It just didn't do it for me in parts. It just didn't wrap up what it needed to. Gameplay. Congrats on the second Team Snipers Nair on Hemorrhage. I don't even know if it's just second. It's just like when I've seen it in a montage. So yeah, that was pretty okay. The gameplay was good. The gameplay was really good. The editing didn't really hit that next tier. It was approaching it, but it's not really there yet. It's almost. So in both regards, I've gotta go with a 3.75. This is a solid montage with editing that's approaching being good, but isn't quite there, and really sick gameplay. So I gotta say 3.75, with the gameplay being a pretty nice boost on that. That was interesting. And Infected Mushroom is great, you freaking losers. Okay, I'm on to Me 123 Army. I know this was released a while ago, but So you just uploaded it, and I'm just rolling with it. Now, this montage was really good. The gameplay was really just insane. The editing took a lot of risks, and some of them didn't pan out as well as they could have. But some of them turned out really nice, like the extermination on effect, like that on the pit. That looked insane. That was really sick. I felt like the syncing got a little bit away from what's time in the first song, but the second song really brought it home, and I really enjoyed that. Uh, I feel like there a little bit more could have happened with the just paying attention more to the song structure itself and trying to match that with the clip structure, but the gameplay was fucking insane. Like the gameplay was really, really just absolutely insane. So many pocs. And like the most important factor for this montage that really made it for me is the fact that at the end I had chills for a second. Yeah, that's really what it does for me when I'm really thinking about, is this montage really good? That's what really happens for me when it starts to be from like, oh yeah, this is a good montage, I enjoy watching this, to be like, yes, this montage I should actually I really enjoy this montage and I want to watch it multiple times. It's that feel that it gets you at the end. I hope we've all had it. I'm not just crazy, but it brought it home. And because of how because of the gameplay and how the editing didn't really it didn't bring all the risks home with it, I'd give this a 4.5. It was a really strong video as far as gameplay goes. Did some really good stuff with editing. Was a little bit, felt a little bit weird to me at some parts, but wasn't necessarily bad. And a lot of its risks paid off, and a few of them didn't. So I can't really say that I thought it was like the best montage, or even one of the best. But I think this was a very good montage, so it's definitely worth a watch. Okay, and lastly, Dutchy Blue Skies, his Blue Skies 2, his mini-tage. Dutchy always delivers with gameplay. I don't know why he put in those double kills and triple kills, but that's okay. Dutchy really always will deliver with the gameplay, and I loved Blue Skies 1. It's one of my favorite feels montage. It's just really nice. This was really good, just because it's Dutchy gameplay, and I know people see Dutchy as gameplay, but if you've seen Jolt or like any of, or his final, Dutchy can edit, so I felt like the editing in this was really good. He did nice little subtle effects to just bring it out the feel a little bit more, and without really, while still understanding that's a very simple song that you just want to roll with the flow with that one. You don't really want to push much. You know, it's not, the song doesn't demand you to push much. It's just sync it, add some nice things here or there, and he did that. It was a good video, good gameplay, low risk. Something I'd recommend to watch, but not something that I would like. Something that I enjoyed watching, but not necessarily something that I would be like linking people saying, "Yo, look at this. This is really good." It's just very solid in all aspects, and I love Dutchy gameplay, and Blue Skies 1 is one of my favorites from him actually. So this Taj, on editing I'd be like a 4, but the gameplay, because it's Dutchy and because I live Dutchy, it's a 4.25. It's not like next level, but it's a really good video that's worth watching. It's just very simple, it's very relaxed, it's a good time. It's just a good time if you got 3.5 minutes. Okay guys, that wraps up this week's montage review. This was a long puppy to wrap up, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you next time. There's just some stuff I want to hammer home here that I really think needs to be thought about. Just from what I was seeing in these videos, is it's mostly not settling for anything. It's a lot of not settling for just that's good enough and just pushing it to the next level. It's a lot of paying attention to the song and making sure that whenever you have any beats, make sure you use the same beats but you use them differently, and that creates flow. Um, and it makes it interesting because it's easy to just create flow, but you got to make it interesting. You got to make people want to watch. And that song structure, to pay attention to how a chorus or a verse will end and move on to the next line, and use that as a basis for how you're going to structure your clips. Be like, oh, a clip goes with this sentence, and the clip goes with this sentence, or a clip goes through two sentences that build up to a high sync point, or something like that. And so just planning your montage around that and choosing clips that are appropriate for the point in the song, like trying to make a super awesome clip be at a super high point in the song, or a super awesome clip at the end to stick in someone's memory, and just all stuff like that that can really push a montage home. Not settling, using everything that song is going to give you to work with, and making sure you pick a song that's going to give you those opportunities, so that you aren't going to get bored. You're going to have lots of time to make these little interesting arrangements, so that your consistent syncing isn't getting boring. So it's not just dull and you're just going through the same thing, and it's not just the same thing over and over again. It has to be interesting. You have to have something to grab them back in. And that's all I've really got to say. I will see you guys next week, and this is a good time, and I look forward to seeing what else happens, especially with how much people hate Halo 4, and to see if there's going to be anything good coming with it, aside from the few good vids you've had already. So, goodbye guys, see you next week. Peace.